Hi, my name is Nancy Love, and I'm speaking to you on behalf of the Planet Peace Project. I have some fairly esoteric things to discuss. I'll try to make it quick, but I hope that what I'm about to say will be some of the most thought provoking information that you've ever encountered. I was a witness to a manifestation of sorts about a year ago in California. A handful of people saw something that cannot be explained in any other way than it was basically a manifestation of the One Most High. Once again, this is the part I wear every day to remind me that the cats of love are with me eternally and immortally, and that no one can steal their souls. Amashanti, Bhakti Yogini, Silverbell Samantha, Starlight Zen Star, Golden Akasha Love are here with me and will always be here with me now for eternity. Devil worshippers may have harmed their physical forms, but they cannot steal their souls. Um, the same people who harmed my cats, some of them actually witnessed what I'm talking about. And it was made of white light, and it was made of thunder, and it was made of vehemence, and it was made of power, and it was one of the most astonishing experiences I've ever had. And I was, straight up and not drugged and not in any way involved in any kind of inebriation of any sort. Neither was anyone else except the probably two or possibly three people who were always on cocaine. I know people who seem real straight and middle class and professional, and what they are is drug addicts and, in fact, drug dealers. And at least two of those people were there. But all the people who weren't on any sort of substance that can cause delusions were there, and we all seemed to see some version of the same thing, which one atheist said was God. I kid you not. I know this sounds weird because most of us read and we believe and we hope and we pray, but we don't necessarily see things like that. And out of the several people who saw what I'm talking about, one was a virulent, adamant atheist who said he saw God and he was never going to be the same. Another one, it was an agnostic, kind of on the fence, maybe wishy-washy. Maybe there's something beyond physical form. Maybe there isn't. He didn't know for sure. He knows for sure now because what came through didn't have physical form, but it was there. So that was very, very reaffirming, and it was also sort of massively unsettling because it seemed to be a clarion call of the end times. It seemed to confirm revelation, and in the olden days we called it the revelations um, of the Bible. It seemed to indicate that these truly are the end times. They absolutely are here. Armageddon is at hand, and we got to change. On an individual level, you have to make a commitment to goodness, no matter what context you're in. Maybe you're in a street gang, maybe you're in the mafia, maybe you're in the military, maybe you're an attorney. And I've been told by attorneys that some state bars are pretty much the same as street gangs. Um, Whatever context you're in, you have to make an individual commitment to your own moral dignity and to your actual goodness, because your street gang isn't going to stand there with you or roll into eternity with you. You are going to, I promise you on my immortal soul, not just as a human being talking to you through a physical or molecular mouth, but as an immortal soul, I insist you must begin to understand, if you haven't understood this as long as I have, that you will face what you become, and you will be called to answer for everything you did, every criminal you consorted with, every um, thought you had, every fantasy you entertained. We are called to judgment not only for our behavior, but by what we chronically fantasize about doing, because our thoughts truly have power and go through the ether and emanate and influence reality. Back around 2000, 2001, right around the turn of the 21st century, please keep in mind these words are being spoken to you by someone who started studying subatomic physics at the age of 7. The exact same week, I started studying all the world's religions because I thought that both physics and religious thought or philosophical thought had pretty much the same things to teach me, but using different vernaculars, using very divergent approaches, that I would learn pretty much the same thing from subatomic physics as religion, and I have. But one of the things that physicists discovered, and it's just staggering, it's just astonishing, and it's truly, truly food for thought, much thought, is that our brain waves that are constantly emanating from our electronic devices, these brains are electronic mechanisms essentially. Nerves work on electricity pretty much the same as your computer or your stereo system or TV does. Our electromagnetic fields that we're constantly emanating from our brains are coming out of our bodies in a circular fashion, like ripples, like ripples on a pond. And they got so small, they could finally, humanity can finally see so small into the substance of things that physicists said that our brain waves are so powerful, as well as those of other animals, cats, dogs, horses, squirrels, parrots, ferrets, bunny rabbits, elephants, rhinoceroses, chimpanzees, gorillas. All of these animals are constantly sending out brainwaves, right? Physicists discovered through their math and through their instrumentation that our thoughts, here's how responsible we are to one another, to the planet, to the cosmos, and to the concept of quantum entanglement in the entire galaxy and beyond, and beyond. That our brainwaves are disrupting molecular substance in such a way that they go all the way off the world, all the way out of the planetary system, and in fact, all the way out of the galaxy itself. Our brainwaves, your brainwaves, mine, affect matter so significantly that they radiate or ripple into intergalactic space. Now, is that a big responsibility or not? When someone says, hey, turn that music down, please, do it, because you're disrupting their EMF, electromagnetic fields, and your music is going all the way to the Andromeda galaxy or something and irritating the bleep out of whoever's living out there. Turn it down. Things are subtle around here. You absolutely have to start taking responsibility, and the concept of quantum entanglement uh, involves the understanding that everything is connected. Every single thing is connected. If any of you saw the Karate Kid, an old movie, a lot of people didn't understand why they showed all this activity and all this narrative, and an action, screen action between characters on one continent, that every so often it would interspace with a little segment of showing an elderly Oriental man clipping branches on a bonsai tree. And he was being very careful, and he was being very feng shui, and he was being very, spiritual about making just the right decision using his intuition or his instincts or whatever, his judgment, his discernment. And he was clipping just this branch or just that one ever so carefully to make the tree as beautiful as possible. And what that was trying to show in that film was that what that man was doing on the other side of the world was affecting and impacting what happened on another continent thousands of miles away. What you do today affects me. And what I do today affects you. Even if I've never seen you before, we never meet, we've never met, it doesn't matter. We are all massively, infinitely responsible to one another, to the world, and beyond. What I saw, I was rolling my wheelchair past passed down a street recently, and I saw this book by the side of the road, and I picked it up because it had the name of my cat, Bhakti. And Bhakti to me means wisdom. This is called Bhakti, the Art of Eternal Love. And so, since I haven't seen Bhakti in 2 years now, I picked the book up and kind of saw it as a sign that she wanted me to see this, or that God did. And today I just opened it. I felt led to open it at just exactly the right page, and I knew that my eyes would fall on the right passage. And guess what I was thinking about when I did that? I was thinking about that manifestation, which, for all the world, and I apologize because I know this sounds kind of wacky, but for all the world, a lot of really professional, intelligent, and well educated people seem to have seen God manifest in California right there, out loud, in person, in public, and there it was. Whoever thinks they're going to be saying something like that, particularly making such an assertion public, but I have a lot of courage, and it's about time. It's about time the truth comes out. And when I was thinking about God manifesting, particularly through an individual, and letting that individual be a channel or an avatar of the power of creation, the awesome power of creation, I opened it to page 31. And on page 31, I knew my eyes would fall at just the right place. And it said, and my eyes hit this sentence: the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared on this planet and is presenting himself to you as an ordinary human being. What are the odds? He is always with you in all circumstances. He is living with you and covering himself from the eyes of others. Others cannot understand that he is the creator, that he's still living with you as your cousin, as your friend, and even as your messenger. A lot of people don't realize the Jews are always looking for a Messiah. The term Messiah, I always thought meant king or leader or ruler. Actually, the origins of the word Messiah mean messenger. What you're looking for is a messenger, maybe someone riding on a chariot bringing a scroll. Messiah doesn't just mean leader, it means messenger, someone who has the truth and wants to share it with you. It feels perhaps that it is imperative that they share the truth with you because you need to hear it, I need to hear it, we all need to hear the truth now. So it says, if this manifestation has occurred to you in which the the power of creation, the power of love in all creation has manifested to you in some sort of form in which you are familiar and comfortable, like a friend, like a family member, you must know that nobody in this world is more fortunate than you. And it goes on, and then someone who for whom this experience had been made plain, it says, "My dear God, I thought of you as my cousin or my brother, and so I have shown disrespect to you in so many ways, calling you my friend. But you were, in fact, the creator, the power of all creation." So this goes back to something I was talking about in another video a long time ago about the mystical interpretation of the second coming of Christ. That when I was 7, then again when I was 19, I studied something called that people were calling decades ago and still are the mystical interpretation of the second coming. And that was that Christ isn't going to come necessarily as some big booming voice in the sky, although that day it did. It was accompanied by lightning and thunder. Wow. You just don't expect to have an experience like that. But many of us did, and I'm so grateful. But that often the power of love in all creation, aka God, aka Krishna, aka whatever you want to call it, the Buddha, may come in disguise as you. It may come in disguise as me. It may come in disguise as your baby, or your mother, or your father, or your best friend, or some total stranger on the street. But everybody who's looking for the second coming of Christ seems to be looking for some, brown skinned guy with long wavy hair and a sad face, and he's going to be kind of slender, and he's going to be this classic, cultural iconography. He's going to look like Dan Fogelberg, for example. Who knows that Dan Fogelberg wasn't Christ? I think he was. May he rest in heaven. But the thing is, Christ may look exactly like me. Christ may look exactly like you. Christ may look exactly like the woman my friend Michael helped in the 1990s. I had this beautiful, beautiful friend. He grew up Catholic. He was chagrined. He was disgruntled with religion in general. But he still believed in something rather than nothing. And it's so important to believe in something rather than nothing. Michael said he was helping a homeless woman one time, beautiful young black woman living in the street, and he realized she was grateful for his assistance, and he realized that he was helping Christ. He was helping what is called the least of these, and there was nothing least about her. There's some place in the King James version of the Bible that says, "How you treat the least of these is how you treat me. And I will come in disguise as a beggar, and I will come in disguise as the forlorn, but it will be me." And how you treat those who seem to be less than you, whether you trample them under your feet or whether you help lift them up, is how you will treat me. And how you treat everyone is how you will be judged. Because if you go around in your life thinking you're so pompous because you're so rich and you got the nice car and you got the nice job and you got the fancy education, or you have a powerful position, and you think you have the audacity to be pompous and narcissistic and domineering and think you're better than everyone else, what eventually is going to happen is the wheel of life will turn while you're still in physical form and you will be squashed under it, or somewhere after your soul leaves your physical form, you will understand that you were never better than anyone else because you had money, a high IQ, Porsche, a mansion. You're not better than anyone else. No one is. So it was fascinating that Michael realized that as he was helping that woman, he was helping what he thought of as Jesus Christ in a form that not many people would recognize. Because if you keep looking around for some guy that matches the cultural iconography of Jesus Christ, what you will miss is that he's not coming maybe even as a guy. He's not necessarily going to be wearing a long white robe and sandals. He may come as that homeless woman in the street. He may come as your best friend who's sobbing and needs help with an abusive relationship. He may come as the alcoholic who needs your friendship and your love and your support to get out of a lifelong addictive pattern. He may come as the little kid who needs help escaping from an abusive family, a pedophile, or something of that nature. He may come as your elderly cousin who needs a place to live now that they can't earn an income or disabled. He may come in any form he needs to in order to test your love for others. And did anybody ever take that seriously about love your neighbor as yourself? That's what I think God wants to know from us now. Um, So think about the second coming, the mystical interpretation of the second coming of Christ. We can all channel the One Most High. Whatever you call it, you could call it Wakantanka. I appreciate that. If you are a Native American and you think of God as the Great Spirit, that I can really, really wrap my love around. The Native Americans, in a lot of ways, had a significantly better understanding of the power of creation and our responsibility to the planet than the vast majority of religious leaders you've ever encountered, no matter what denomination or what religion you're talking about. So let's say you can channel Wakantanka. You can channel Jesus Christ. You can channel the Buddha. You can channel Krishna. You can channel the I and I, the Brahman, the Atman. You absolutely do have the power to be one with God. And as long as you think that you're just getting an education and this is all theoretical and this is outside yourself and it's outside your behavior and you can go to all the churches and all the, you can read all the books and talk to all the great leaders, but if they're not telling you, churches and books and leaders aren't telling you that you have a responsibility to become one with the power of creation, you're not getting the right message. And you never will until you internalize that responsibility. We absolutely have a responsibility to not only our own moral dignity, but to the moral dignity of God. Yeah. You don't get to do anything surreptitiously. You don't get away with anything at all, ever. Your lies, your drugs, your deceit, your thievery, your rapes, your murders, your animal cruelty. You're not going to get away with it because everything is seen, everything is known, and it's written in what we think of as the Akashic records. My cat, Golden Akasha, was named after the book of love. Everything is recorded in eternity and everything is known about you. And when you think you can steal in private and you can lie to people and they won't know the truth, you are a complete, utter fool. Because you are known and every soul is see-through. We all think in terms of black, white, brown, red, yellow, all these colors of our skin. We're not our skin. We're not our bodies. We are souls temporarily inhabiting molecular form. And we were somewhere before we got here, and we're going to be somewhere once we get out of here. But what we do while we're here is tremendously important. What we do with molecules while we're in these forms is of massive, massive significance. And it helps determine where we go into eternity. So you can start taking this to heart and taking responsibility for the fact that everyone ultimately, every soul will ultimately join together as the great one soul. That's called being awakened, an awakened soul. When you understand that we literally are the same soul that kind of mass individuated, hyper individuated, I call it. It broke itself apart into many pieces because it was lonely and wanted to experiment with itself. And here we are, failing every day to understand that every time I speak to someone else, every time I pet a cat's head or a dog's head or see a horse or every other living form you've ever seen was God. And the way you treat that form is the way you treat the power of creation and the essence of love. And when you mistreat a cat, a dog, a person, when you rape, when you murder, when you harm, you are harming the power of all creation and love itself. So just remember, you're not black, you're not white, you're not Asian, you're not a red man, you're not a brown man or woman. You are see-through. And what matters, the consciousness that matters and the consciousness that will discern and take the wheat from the chaff and essentially judge you, can see straight through your soul. You are clear. And those of us who have studied righteousness and those who have us who, few of us who've remained great, the great ladies, the great men, those of us who have retained our moral dignity, which is very hard won, and resisted temptations and resisted threats and torment, we are the ones who find it very easily to see straight through everyone else's lies. Your facade will fall. Whatever you have tried so valiantly to seem to be, knowing full well that you're not that, it's going to crumble. In a lot of ways, it already has. And everyone, every consciousness that you've ever encountered or ever will at some point see right through you and know exactly who you are. So if you remember from childhood, be good, everyone telling you always to be good, they were trying to tell you what you really needed to know. Stop lying. Stop stealing. Stop harming. End your lust. Lust is sexual greed, and it is one of the worst, most disgusting, abhorrent sins there is, because it's a degradation of a sacrament called love. Stop with your greed. You don't need the fancy car. You don't need the high mortgage. You don't need to fake it till you make it. because you will never make it while you're faking it. People know who you are. You're not fooling anyone. Think on these things, my friend. Think on these things, my friend, because you're listening to someone who started studying all the world's religions when I was in first grade, and I started studying physics the same week. And now I'm telling you that physicists have said that, that even your thoughts go out into extragalactic space. You are that influential, you are that important, you are that powerful. And ultimately, if you take responsibility for the beauty of what you can create with your thoughts and your actions and your belief system, you're that beautiful. You too can join with the One Most High. Sayonara.